Okay, what I've got here is a cleaned piece, and it's off of a battery that died from old age, and I put a little flux on it. Now this is a piece of wire lead from a balance line. It's already got a lot of flux on it, so I'm going to take and put some solder on it, and I'm going to make sure that solder is on there kind of thick. Okay, now that soldering iron is not going to want to heat up this, and you don't solder this to the tab but to the wire. Okay, now when you put the heat on it like so, just hold it on there. It's going to melt that solder that you put on that wire. Okay, and hopefully you got a helping hand tool of some kind, and what you'll end up with is this. You don't want to try and solder to this metal tab, because that's done using a different type of device. That's not done with a soldering iron. It's done with a very high heat, what we call like a like a spot welder almost. Generates a tremendous high amount of high heat, and I think the minimum code temperature for that type of connection is like 4 to 450. So very few soldering irons are going to get hot enough to melt that. And the soldering station I'm using is called a Zenny. Now this is a 937D. A lot of people make the 937D. I've got a couple of them, but you can see it goes up to 480 and hotter. And I had this one set at 414. Now that 100, I think you got 160 amp iron, I think it was when you first showed it being used, changing your connectors. So what the idea is to tin the wire first, because it's going to be hard to melt that wire, because all of this is attached to the battery and it's soaking up the heat. When you put too much heat on it, you're going to ruin the battery. So just take and put the iron on the wire that you tinned. That's why in that first video I said always tin the wires first. That way you can put the wire up against the target. I hope that's showing. Put the wire up against the target and melt the solder on the wire. Hold it down, and it's going to be fine, because it's going to melt the solder onto the existing solder. It's not going to melt it all, but it'll melt the surface enough for the wire to take, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, now I left my email address at yahoo.com for you, Wally, or anybody else that needs me. You know, if you want, it's hard to explain some things without being able to answer your questions in real time. Some things have to be talked about. So if you want to make it easier on yourself and easy on me too, just shoot me the email, give me my phone number. You can give me a call. I've been on the internet since 1994 when people didn't even know there was an internet. I could care less about my phone number floating around out there, because anybody who uses it unwisely is going to have unwise issues. So with that being said, if you need me, call me. God bless. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.